What's going on, everyone? Jeremy here from The Quartering, and as Disney admitted that Kathleen Kennedy's experiment with the Star Wars universe was a failure, it certainly seems like it. It seems like they thought that they were doing it right with the sequel trilogy and essentially reproducing A New Hope and Disneyfying everything and worrying more about checking boxes than being loyal to the Star Wars fandom. They worried more about recruiting new fans who were more concerned with virtue signaling online about the skin color of certain actors or actresses in the film than actually receiving a good movie. Now, there are certainly people that absolutely loved every single Disney Star Wars movie. There are people that hated every one of them, but most people are in the middle. If you're like me, Rogue One I thought was really good. The Last Jedi was objectively bad in my opinion. The Rise of Skywalker was sloppy. The Force Awakens was okay. What they did to Luke Skywalker, in my opinion, is unforgivable. Until, well, The Mandalorian went out of their way to restore Luke Skywalker and restore the confident, dominant man that he was, instead of the bitter old, green milk sucking loser that he ended up on purpose, by the way, in Disney's Star Wars trilogy. There's been a lot of negativity around basically every Disney Star Wars related good. Even look at Galaxy's Edge, which was very widely looked forward to, opening up to extremely underwhelming reviews, unfinished, shockingly, and then with the lockdowns and everything, really never had a chance. But now it appears that The Mandalorian has shown Disney that they can produce a product that is universally liked. And look, I don't think The Mandalorian's perfect. I think there is a lot of plot armor, which is not uncommon in the Star Wars universe. But, there's some of the writing isn't perfect. There's a lot of sloppiness in it, convenience for convenience sake. But overwhelmingly, the show was a huge success. Now, what they do going forward in season 3 will remain to be seen. But like a lot of other people, I at least teared up during that final episode of season 2. There was some ninja chopping onions in the room, and it was amazing. And basically everyone agrees this here on Salon.com, saying Star Wars insider Bill Slavicsek on how The Mandalorian redeemed the universe. Longtime game developer on playing in George Lucas's driveway, and how The Mandalorian has rescued Star Wars. Disney Plus series of Mandalorian has been both a critical triumph and a commercial success. In my judgment, it's the most compelling live-action story in the Star Wars universe since 1983's Return of the Jedi. Bold statement. To that end, the story in The Mandalorian's first 2 seasons about a mysterious bounty hunter and the child, who actually is more than 50 years old, he's entrusted with as to navigate their way through a dangerous world rife with scum and villainy, where the remnants of the Empire still terrorize the galaxy, has accomplished something difficult in science fiction and other genre entertainment. Longtime and serious Star Wars aficionados are enthusiastic about The Mandalorian's attention to detail, an obvious love and respect for George Lucas's Star Wars universe. More casual Star Wars fans can enjoy the series for its story of family, friendship, and adventure, and of course, Baby Yoda. The Mandalorian also embraces the core aesthetic and storytelling conventions of Star Wars, which are drawn from classic American westerns, Saturday morning serials from 1940 to 1950s, samurai films, and space operas like Flash Gordon. While respecting the mythic roots of Star Wars, the creators of The Mandalorian have also done something different. The anthology goes beyond the constraints of the monomyth and archetypical hero's journey that largely defined George Lucas's original films, along with their sequels and prequels. The result is a live-action Star Wars TV show that is firmly of that world while free to explore the different parts of it. Where does The Mandalorian go next? Well, we won't talk about that right now, but you see here, the new Mandalorian theory says Disney Plus shows will wipe sequel trilogy from canon. There are a lot of fans now, of course, understand the source of this. There are a lot of Star Wars fans who still haven't gotten over the markedly different yet equally polarizing The Last Jedi and The Rise of Skywalker. with Frank Oz, of all people, having to wade in after someone demanded that Rian Johnson apologize for Episode 8 every single day for the rest of his life. The Force Awakens got a pass because Star Wars was back. I agree with that. And while it didn't break any new ground, it was still an entertaining blockbuster that didn't rock the boat. The Last Jedi, meanwhile, made sweeping changes to the mythology, upsetting and alienating a lot of people in the process, only for The Rise of Skywalker to try far too hard to get them back on board by doubling down on fan service and retcons. I 100% agree. At the expense of telling a serviceable story that could tie up the narrative in a fashion benefiting from a 9-movie saga that unfolded across 4 decades. Now, in a wild new fan theory, speculates that The Mandalorian might end up erasing the sequel trilogy from canon, something that a certain section of the fan base wouldn't be against. And all hinges on Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni continuing to embrace the animated shows as official continuity. Well, here's the thing. What I don't want is for, Dave Filoni and Favreau to get spread too thin. The reason The Mandalorian is awesome is because it got a lot of attention. And if attention from people who love Star Wars. If you just let them walk away and spread them too thin and have them working on a million different shows, obviously The Mandalorian is going to suffer. And right now, that's the biggest tentpole Disney has. A lot of the new programming that Disney is spewing forth here at a record pace on Disney Plus doesn't interest me. Most people, if they're like me, maybe 1 or 2 of the possible shows look kind of interesting. Like a Boba Fett show would be interesting. Obviously, I want The Mandalorian to stay great. And some of the animated stuff, maybe it's for you, maybe it's not. There are a lot of hardcore Star Wars fans that are deep into the lore, much deeper than I am, that are excited for all the Star Wars they could possibly see brought to the small screen because they've had to survive on books and comics and their imagination. It says here, I believe that the sequel trilogy was practically a different timeline that the ending of Rebels and Mandalorian timeline. In The Last Skywalker, we hear Ahsoka Tano say Rey during Rey's vision. The rest of the voices we hear are of dead Jedi. We also hear Ahsoka's voice because she was dead in that timeline. In Rebels, we see that Ezra Bridger went to the world between worlds and saved Ahsoka from being killed by Darth Vader. With Ahsoka being alive, now she tells Din Djarin that about the Seeing Stone. Without that knowledge, Din Djarin and Grogu would probably never meet Luke Skywalker, and Luke Skywalker would have never trained Grogu. Training Grogu early will show Luke that using the dark side of the Force is natural and can be controlled. Luke does not fear Ben Solo's power now and he will never become Kylo Ren. Maybe. But here's an interesting thing. The Mandalorian and Favreau, this is via Pirates and Princess. They do a lot of Disney coverage. A nice little site here. The Mandalorian and Favreau Filoni's universe to replace sequel trilogy characters in Galaxy's Edge. Of course they should. Absolutely. In every way possible. The info coming out of Lucasfilm was fast and furious, and particularly from the Kathleen Kennedy side of things. I'll be honest, I've got too many articles to write at the moment and too much stuff to corroborate to keep up. I think the amount of info being, quote, leaked is indicative of the Kathleen side knowing that they've lost. Clearly, the schism has turned into something else entirely, where instead of the two being two factions, there are employees and loyalists at Lucasfilm that bought into Kathy's vision and have now completely lost the confidence of Disney. Essentially, Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni have formed a partnership which is buoyed by Bob Iger and ostensibly Bob Chapek. What they're doing is ingenious. They're building the Star Wars streaming and cinematic universe that follows the MCU blueprint. The difference is that they're doing it with streaming services that give them significantly more screen time to tell the stories. Their plan is to revere George Lucas, restore the original characters back to glory, tell an engaging saga that crescendos with the battle against Thrawn, all while preparing to fix the problems of the sequel trilogy. Please, God. Please. Remember when Galaxy's Edge was open and attendance at Disneyland actually dropped. Don't thank the Phoenicians. Thank Kathleen Kennedy. She's the one who convinced Iger to jettison the original plans that would have gone with a more unified Star Wars land, the one that would have meshed together elements of the prequels, originals, and sequel trilogies. Well, guess what's happening at Hollywood studios right now with Galaxy's Edge? People don't want to see Rey. Rey who? They don't want to see Emo Ren that killed Han Solo. People want to see Mando. People want to see Ahsoka. People want to see Baby Yoda. And people want to see Luke Skywalker. Disney wants money. So that's why I believe I can corroborate some rumors that have been floating around about Galaxy's Edge. According to a source close to Walt Disney management, Josh D'Amaro has started the process of determining cost and logistics for transitioning Galaxy's Edge in both Hollywood studios and Disneyland to the timeline of The Mandalorian. Blue French cookies for everybody. I think that's smart. Mostly, I think this means a press release, a bit of marketing, and change in the characters you can meet that roam the land. It doesn't seem they'd have to tweak the 2 attractions with new videos, some adjusted animatronics. Yeah, it wouldn't be that bad. Get ready because Ahsoka, Boba Fett, Luke Skywalker, Mando, Grogu, and all the rest are kicking Rey and Kylo out of Galaxy's Edge. It's just a matter of time. I absolutely hope so. I absolutely. You also get, Patty Jenkins can breathe new life into Star Wars, says Chris Pine. Patty Jenkins directed the lowest rated DC movie on IMDb. And Disney's got troubles. We see them struggling for money. I'll cover this more in another story later, but Tron Coaster at Magic Kingdom sealed shut, signaling Mickey's running out of money. There's all sorts of things that Disneyland is going to have to do to get back in the black in terms of profitability, and none of them include blowing Star Wars opportunity like they have over the past 5 years. They can still absolutely save things, in my opinion. Just pivot to The Mandalorian, and I myself would be happy to go down to Galaxy's Edge. I hope you enjoyed this video. We'll talk to you again real soon.